We have got ourselves a complex slate on our hands for week 10 in NFL DFS because, at least as of Thursday, not a lot of value popping up. There are some games that I want to stack, but the question is, can I? Can I actually get to the studs in those games and feel good about my lineups? And I think I can, but it ain't pretty to get there. We're going to break down our thoughts on the entire NFL Week 10 DFS slate, talking through those studs, talking through where maybe we could get some value, talking through game stacks, and much more to get you ready for the FanDuel main slate in Week 10. Welcome on into the Heat Check, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, joined here as I am every Thursday by Brandon Gdula. Check him out on X at Gdula13. He is on Blue Sky at Gdula. Check out his work at FanDuel Research, where he is a senior managing editor. Brandon, Week 10 is here. Interesting slate on hand. How you doing today?
Yeah, it is interesting. We're going to have a lot to talk about, and I hope to come away from this feeling better. But it also kind of feels like one of those where we're going to talk through everything, and there's still going to be some uncertainties until we get more info, which is what happens. It's a Thursday. Last week we ended up getting a superstar running back for the Chicago Bears, which we didn't fully expect, and that helped. So fingers crossed that we get another one of those situations for this week because we kind of need it.
It would be nice if DeAndre Swift decided to take a Swift vacation, decided to take one more week off. I don't think we're going to get that, which is kind of a bummer, but that would be nice. And as always, we're recording Thursday. There may be more value that pops up, but we're going to try to dive in and say, worst case scenario, how can we handle things for this week? We'll dive into all that here, plus game stacks, trends to know, including the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett, some weird red zone trends for running backs as well. Then go position by position through our top plays on FanDuel for this week. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to the FanDuel Research podcast feed and the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. That FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page is the home of the Covering the Spread podcast as well. Broke down NFL Week 10 minty bets earlier today. Get our thoughts on the entire slate, big games, our favorite bets there. Also, tomorrow, Liv Moods will join me talking about some player props for Week 10. Ed Feng, join me breaking down some college football for Week 11. All those shows on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. And of course, the DFS show is here live at noon Eastern every Thursday and are on the FanDuel Research podcast. So you go there, 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and then check out again, FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Thumbs up there and subscribe and turn on notifications as well. The race to the NFL playoffs is on, and if you're betting on FanDuel this season, here are some things to keep in mind. Number one, celebrate your wins responsibly when your bet hits. It's important to never leave a high five hanging. That's just good sportsmanship. Number two, no kickoff, no problem. Live betting means you're free to jump into the game anytime. And number three, if you are a new customer, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. And now you're ready to play your game on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Help is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Paid endorsement. Is it paid? I guess I don't need to include that part. I don't think they pay us for this. Anyway, let's dig into the slate overview for week number 10 in the NFL. And I think the key thing, as we discussed, is trying to identify value for this slate. What value can we trust? What value can we tolerate? And those are two very different things to me. So that's the key thing for me, is looking at the value and seeing where we can go here, because there are games I want to stack. What to you stands out for the week 10 slate, Brandon?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of, for anybody who listens long time, they're going to probably hear a lot of my usual, I don't like rostering players who I don't fully believe in, and that might be unavoidable this week. So, and it's not necessarily that I don't believe in them as players, but it's the role and the matchup and all those types of things. I want to feel good about everyone I click play in my lineup. And frankly, with one standout game to me, and probably to a lot of people, being the Rams and 49ers, you're going to have to allocate a lot of salary to get access to not just the top two names, in that game, and Puka Nacua, who's salaried at 9,900 on FanDuel, and Christian McCaffrey at 97. There's also Matthew Stafford's up there in salary. Devontae Adams, 8,800 is his salary. George Kittle, reasonable, but so like you're going to want to get access to that. And typically we're like, okay, you just need like a value here, a value there. Value's not super ideal this week. And so it's going to lead to a lot of, wishy-washy kind of players, or players that I'm wishy-washy on getting into the player pool. And I'll just I ran some optimizers from different sites just to get a feel for, okay, it's Thursday. What would an optimizer tell you? Look, I got Amari DiMercato in Dynasty, but like he's popping up in more of these optimizers than you would think. And same for like Cedric Tillman, for example. Like that's not typical. I know it's a 10-game slate, which is also part of the problem, but it's got to be the most peculiar week we've had so far, and we've had our share of them. And dare I say, this is probably the first week all season where I'm not saying it's a priority, but I'm probably leaning toward a receiver in the flex at this rate, unless things change, which they could. But it's one of those weeks, and for anybody, again, who listens to us for a long time, they're going to know that that's not very typical.
And I am on the same page as you as far as the receiver and the flex thing goes. We'll talk about that during the trend section, because that to me is, there are a couple reasons why we could wind up going that direction. First, though, let's dig into the injuries impacting this week 10 main slate. The first one being Cardinals placing Kyler Murray in IR, meaning Jacoby Brissett will continue to start for them. Sounds like Trey Benson not back this week despite being eligible. They get the Seahawks this week. We'll discuss their outlook in the trend section. The Saints traded Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. We'll see what Rashid Shaheed's initial role is, but they get the Cardinals this week. We'll talk about that game in the trend section. The Saints get the Panthers this week, and the total there is low. So any interest in Chris Olave or Juwan Johnson with no Shaheed on the Saints?
So, I mean, honestly, I would like not to, but I don't know if I mean, first of all, Chris Olave's salary is up there. What is he at 6,900 this week?
Mm-hmm.
That's asking a lot from pretty much anybody, but with scoring expectations not being ideal. I mean, the Saints implied team total is 17 points right now. That's really difficult to get yourself in on. And frankly, like Olave's had good market shares. It's not always his fault that he doesn't turn those into big games. But I don't know if I can sell myself on a big game from Olave tied to Tyler Shuck, who honestly, like, it was frankly better than I expected in terms of some of the underlying numbers, which is kind of telling that I had a low baseline, which I am fully aware of. But if you take out like the from a non-turnover perspective, he was kind of average, and we're dealing with small samples, so like it's fine. But I think if anything, I would just get on some Juwan because of the low salary for him, and the fact that tight end is good, not great, and we need to save as much as we can, however we can. So it'd be more of a volume play for Juwan, who we both think is really good. But I think Olave's a little bit salaried out, even with a potential role expansion. But he's already also been he's been operating
like
pretty
his
decently.
Target share can't get that much higher. And now the offense is probably going to be worse without a genuinely good football player, Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah. Shaheed takes a lot off of the, a lot of the attention away from Olave. So, like, this is probably like the type of week where it's like, okay, Brandon Cooks has been running routes. Do we play Brandon Cooks because we need salary savers? And like, he's probably like, if you run enough optimals, he's probably going to end up in some of them just on a point per dollar like basis. But it's the exact type of thing that I can't. He's like an extreme example of that, but I want to make sure I don't really get those types of ideas.
Yeah. if this is an indicator of how I'm feeling about this, while you were talking, I checked the Saints like team total in this game. I don't show value on their under 16.5 at plus 102, but I'm tempted because their offensive line is super banged up. This Panthers defense has shown some life recently, and losing Rashid Shaheed, I think, is actually like a pretty big negative for them. So I am very low on the Saints, and Juwan is the one guy I could see using there. Garrett Wilson back at practice for the Jets on Wednesday. Sounds like his 2-game absence should end this week. Facing the Browns, though, an interest in the Jets' offensive pieces in this one.
Also, sorry in advance. I had to switch out my mouse to my gaming mouse because my other mouse like quit working and it's loud. So I don't know if anybody can hear you. Okay.
I keep my volume super low, so I don't really want to hear you talk too much anyway, so I can't hear the clicking regardless.
Boy, don't I know it. So why don't you take this one then? Talk to me about the Jets.
Really bad matchup. And it's not Garrett Wilson's salary is low. He's $7,500, I believe, which is high for a team that can't throw and doesn't want to throw. So I will not use Garrett Wilson. I am more receptive to Breece Hall, but the matchup is tougher for the running backs than it is for the wide receivers. So even he's kind of a tough sell for me. So I'm really not in on the Jets. I bet the Jets to win this week before the fire sale, which feels bad. But like, I don't know if I want to get there in DFS. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, like Wilson's, if you look at the box score, has had some decent outings, which is why it's not surprising to see the salary of 7,600, but none of them feel super sustainable. And he'll get you there if he scores a touchdown.
Yeah.
But the yardage, just based on who's throwing him the ball all season, hasn't been great. He's maxed out at he had 95 in week 1, but since then 84. And that 95 was in the super shootout game with the Steelers, which I do not think that Dylan Gabriel is going to get into like a back and forth affair, even with a depleted defense. I could be wrong in that. And people could be like, hey, you play this game, you save a lot of salary. But the thing is, you don't really save a lot of salary on the Jets side. So that kind of cuts that idea at the knees. So, I mean, I kind of understand it. But I would also, I mean, do you think this team's a little more motivated or a little less motivated?
I feel like their motivation has been there all year because they've been competitive. Like even in their losses, they've for the most part been close losses. So it seems like Aaron Glenn's had some operational issues, but it doesn't seem like there's any issues with like teams being motivated to play for him, which I think is encouraging.
But like Breece is like tweeting out the sad faces and stuff.
He's been doing that since August. He's a receiver, like based on his tweets. He is a wide receiver. Like he's been doing that since August. He's still played fine. I don't really like him that much here because of the matchup, but like I don't know. I think that he'll still be because he's in a contract. I don't think he can slack off at all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really see myself getting here. And again, I should be clamoring for running backs with mid-range salaries because I need to get there. And I might end up on like a running back stack in this game. So
one reason you could consider that is because the Jets traded away both Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams this past week. So softer matchup for the Browns in this one. Quinshon Judkins had a shoulder injury before the bye, but practiced in full on Wednesday. So he is fully good to go. How are you viewing Judkins at $7,600?
Yeah. So he's a strange player because it feels like what?
I agree. I was laughing with you because I agree.
Because like it feels like, okay, this dude's like explosiveness waiting to happen, but it's not always like the yardage isn't always phenomenal for him. It's been a little bit more volume based than I would have expected.
They have the lowest running back explosive run rate in the league adjusted for schedule.
So if you look at like the sample where his role spiked and he's been active, I have him at 92 yards per game with a 40% red zone share. Like, that's not bad by any means, and this matchup's getting a lot better. But if he gets you 90-some yards and the team doesn't happen to score because it's just sort of dysfunctional, then it's not great. But I am probably going to end up being higher on Judkins than I want to be. Mm-hmm. However, I know I'm going to have to make concessions. I'd rather make a concession on a guy who I think is good and whose role is actually quite strong than, and no offense to like an Amari DiMercato, but like plugging in like a squint and hope he breaks off like a 40-yard carry.
Like a running back with a 40% snap rate against a very good defense. Like that's the exact kind. That's a squint. That's a squint, get the bifocals out kind of play.
Yeah, and like he can make big plays, and I understand like he could make the perfect lineup if he happens to have one of those and scores. I understand the process. It's like it's not just a guy with a 15% snap rate. It's more than that. But I know like you cannot compare Judkins to DiMercato, but when you're filling out our lineup and you have to like play 2 to 3 running backs, I would rather miss out on some like bigger names and play Judkins, who I feel pretty good about. So I don't want to overthink it with Judkins too much, even though I'm a little bit surprised that the big plays haven't quite been there.
I agree. And the matchup got a lot better with no Quinn Williams. So that does help. Also, Quincy Williams got benched, and he hasn't been bad enough to get benched. So that was weird too. But just, I don't know. Maybe it's weird. Anyway, DeAndre Swift returned to a limited practice Wednesday for the Bears. Very rude of him. Kyle Monangai blew up without Swift last week, but it looks like Swift will return here. So if we assume Swift is in, are we off this backfield entirely?
Yeah, it sounds like Ben Johnson's cool with a sort of a running back like split, or like there's a competition and stuff. And I mean, this could just as easily be the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery situation. And I don't know if the offense, like I don't mind the offense necessarily. And maybe with wind in this game, they're just super run heavy and there's enough to go around. So I don't know. I don't want to, but I also feel better about plugging in Monangai and hoping that that's a kind of a 50-50 split, because you're not going to get perfection. There's like perfection in like 2 names this entire week, and they play against each other. It's Puka Nacua and Christian McCaffrey, like on the whole slate, it feels like. Yeah. So you're going to have to, like, again, the term that I just tend to use is like make concessions. Monangai showed enough that I think he could do something with half the carries in a potentially run heavy script. So I would like to say, hey, no, we've got so many other running backs. That's not the case. So it feels strange to be on that side of things, because it's not really our process. No. Where are you? You're nodding a lot, so I don't know if we're on the same page.
I agree with every word you said, and that surprised me because, like you said, it's not really our process to like be okay with guys in timeshares, but like it is kind of just the reality of the slate that we have. And Monangai's role had been expanding before the Swift injury, and it sounds like Swift's injury has not gotten that much better, so they could kind of ease him back in. It's also like, frankly, the best matchup you could concoct, because the Giants have been terrible against running backs this year. They've let up a lot of explosive runs, the highest rate in the league this year, and the Bears have the highest running back explosive run rate this year too, because that offensive line is starting to hum, and Ben Johnson's system is working very well. So I will probably take some slices of Monangai. If we get more value to pop up, cool. I'll miss out. That he's not a priority. But like as things stand, he's probably the best 6,000 range running back, I would say. So yeah, I agree with you. And I find that pretty surprising as well, just because of the way we tend to play things is not in accordance with like using a guy in the setup.
There's one other, but like, I don't know. I think David Montgomery is playable too at 61, given the matchup and potential scoring expectations there. But
yeah, that's fair.
I think Monangai has a higher ceiling in terms of the yardage. But what kind of clicked for me was you said, we don't really play running backs in timeshares. Who isn't in some sort of a timeshare other than Christian McCaffrey, and like Devon Achian's not really in a timeshare. Doesn't have the best red zone role. It is getting better since Tyreek's been out. I will point that out.
Maybe Rico Dowdle, depending on his health.
Yeah, like so maybe. Yeah. But everyone else has a lot of issues, so it's unfair for me to sit back and say like I don't want to play any running backs if they're not the lead back. Everybody's in that situation, so
that's fair. The Jaguars acquired Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. Brian Thomas Jr. didn't practice Wednesday due to an ankle injury. Liam Cohen has already said that Parker Washington will start while Myers gets some packages. De'Ami Brown got an limited practice Wednesday with a concussion, which means he could play. That does put him on track to clear protocol by Friday, typically. They're facing an elite Texans defense, though. Does that push guys like Parker Washington off the map for you in this totally revamped Jaguars offense?
I like Parker Washington. I played a little bit of him last week out of necessity, just due to the fact that there wasn't a ton of receiver value that I felt great with. But it is, like you said, it's a very difficult matchup, both just from kind of an all-around standpoint. Catch rate over expectation, any downfield work, Houston's good there. It's a matter of like, I've made worse receiver plays and guys who had less clear paths to target volume. I will say I don't fully trust, I'll call it the offense, to sort of maximize Parker Washington's potential. At 5,600, I think that there's little risk of completely torpedoing your lineup, but I'm not convinced Parker Washington, especially in this situation, is a real difference maker. So he's going to be like the type of concession that I'm okay with here and there to see if I can get my Rams and 49er stacks going.
I'm a little bit lower on him than you, but I understand why you are there. The reason I'm lower is Derek Stingley Jr. lurks for the Texans, and my scoring expectations for the Jaguars, like you said, are very low. This is probably dumb, but I have the Texans favored in this game, which kind of shows you how much I respect this Texans defense, and I'm skeptical of the Jaguars offense, especially with no Travis Hunter and seems like no Brian Thomas Jr. So I think that there is some like systemic collapse potential with the Jags. So I think the floor here is actually pretty poor, especially like I know Cohen said that Washington will start, but they seem to make a lot of moves telling us they don't want to play him. It's not Trevion Henderson level with the Patriots, but I don't know. I get weird vibes there where it seems like they just kind of don't trust him yet. So that's my concern. I think that the floor is pretty poor, and I'm not sure what the ceiling is given this game, but also this matchup.
Yeah, I think there's no floor. I mean, he's had target volume in consecutive games, but there's more to a floor. Yeah. It's a little, I'm not going to just completely bucket him into like the Wandale conversation.
Yeah.
But if you look at the box score, he's like Wandale light, basically.
Sure.
And I know like this whole situation's different. Travis Hunter's out. Brian Thomas, not 100%.
Wandale's a better quarterback. Sorry.
Hey man, you said it. But no, I don't want to get here. What I basically am okay with is if I can make a stack work that I love, I could do worse, because receiver below like 6K is pretty terrible.
It's bad. It's real bad. So I do think he's one of the more justifiable 5K plays. It's just a tough range for sure. The Jags will face Davis Mills. Other side of that game, Texans ruled out CJ Stroud due to a concussion. Nick Chubb didn't practice, and D'Amico Ryan said they will see on him later in the week. That means we could get Woody Marks as a lead back, but it'd come with Davis Mills at quarterback. So we are hurting for value, Brandon. Would Woody Marks be an option for you if there's no Nick Chubb?
I mean, we've played him, I know, with a much better quarterback before, having such a clear path to high level like usage. I think he's a good football player. I know he can catch passes. This is one of those where how many times are they going to score? And is he actually going to be the guy on the field? It feels a little too much like they don't necessarily love him enough to get him all of the touches, even whenever he's, playing well. And like Nick Chubb's been pretty subpar. Yeah. I'm not saying Woody Marks has been phenomenal with his opportunities, but I just have to cap things. If this comes to like, okay, we had Trevion Henderson. What was his salary last week? I can't remember.
53.
53. Like I feel better. I don't know. I shouldn't feel better about Trevion than I do Woody, but somehow I do. Maybe it's just the quarterback stuff in my head.
I think that's a fair reason though.
Yeah.
Like quarterback play matters a lot. So I think
I was trying to like think just holistically. And it's like I would expect. I was lower on what Trayvon's workload ended up being. I didn't expect it to be quite as strong as it was, and he was, he was pretty solid. Woody should have a similar role to what Trayvon ended up with last week if there's no Chubb, but the difference is one guy's got an MVP level quarterback.
Yep, and it ain't Davis Mills. I would be still high on Woody Marks, despite those very legitimate concerns. Also not an amazing matchup by any means. The Jags defense is pretty good against the run, but it would be a guy who will get passing game work, who is at home as a slight underdog. And I think he's, like you said, a good football player. So he checks enough boxes when I'm hyper desperate at running back. And honestly, I would say too, if we get Woody Marks without Nick Chubb, I would be more likely to flex running back than I would be otherwise. Maybe that's a mistake, but I'd like Woody Marks more than I like Darius Slayton and the guys at the upper 5 range at receiver. So it could be a mistake, and I want to acknowledge that, but I'm receptive to it.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think it's always binary of swap out one for one. It's more like, do you just bump down elsewhere and get up to like an extra
Stephon Diggs at 62, who is a lot
something
more solid.
like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
63. Yep.
Sure. So like I think a Diggs and Juwan is like kind of one guy's your wide receiver 3 and one guy's your flex kind of conversation. But you said like you're higher, and it sounds like you definitely are. Let's say there's no Nick Chubb, and we don't get any real other information. Like there's Swift plays, etc. We don't get any like slam dunk values otherwise. What's your exposure level to Woody?
Too high.
But like
it'd be too high. It'd be 60-ish%.
I think I would probably be in the 40%.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't push back on that at all. Like that's probably the better way to play things. But I just know how desperate I am and how much I want to get to Puka and McCaffrey, and he is a lever I can pull to get there.
I totally understand it. I just don't love it, I guess.
I don't blame you. It's totally fair. We could get value from Buffalo. James Cook missed practice Wednesday with foot and ankle injuries, which actually was big enough to get a Shefty tweet, and Shefty don't tweet for nothing, so that got my attention. Josh Palmer also got in his first limited session since hurting his knee back in week 6. We'll talk about the Bills in the bookmaker section, but just noting that there. Kayshon Boutte is day-to-day after hurting his hamstring last week. He said in his Discord, which is a thing, that he might be able to play this week. I saw the text and I was like, that's a Discord text. And I was like, oh, it's his own Discord. That's weird. Anyway, said he might be able to play this week, but didn't practice Wednesday. Ramondre Stevenson also missed another practice, meaning we may get another game with Travion Henderson as the lead back. They face Tampa, who is always good against the run, played good overall defense this year, coming off a bye. If we get no Boutte and no Stevenson, what's your level of Patriots interest?
So we'll talk Travion first, just because it was a big topic of conversation last week. As I kind of predicted, which is generally always the case. I was too low. I'm not saying you were a little like too high or anything like that. He was okay, but it wasn't flawless. And we saw some Terrell Jennings nuisancery in the red zone. So Travion basically 75% snap rate, which is awesome. 87 scrimmage yards and a 30% red zone share, same as Terrell Jennings. Like, could have been a much bigger game. It's a like, if you put it on paper, it's a workload that would stack up compared to some other guys in the 7K range. So I think despite not having a big game last week, I'm higher on Travion than I was because I saw what was available.
What the role would be, which is nice.
And the salary didn't go through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if I said 75% snap rate, 30% red zone share, like over half the routes, name that salary tied to this offense.
In this matchup, I would go 69, so $1,000 discount.
Yeah, I was thinking at least like 66, 67. So, and
the matchup for me is a pretty big hang up because the Bucs just they don't let up upside to running backs, and that's a concern. But he gets work in the passing game at least, and that's one area where you can get the Bucs a bit. Salary's low. let's say no Ramondre and no Nick Chubb. Would you prefer Henderson at 59 or Marks at 58?
Henderson.
Okay. I would have to think long and hard about that, but I'd be about even on both those guys. And I'd be willing to pull both levers personally to get to the studs at other positions. So again, if we can get those guys to both sit, then I will be more flexy at running back this week.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's just that it's hard to sit here and say like we're definitely going to get that. So
yeah,
which you're not saying, but
yeah, receivers. Stephon Diggs, 62. They'd have to play him more snaps, I think, if there's no Booty. I mean, they always rotate guys, so that's not a guarantee. It could bump up Hunter Henry a bit too. They said that Kyle Williams will play. His salary is 41. Like, he has 2 catches all year, and they were in September. So I don't think I could use that at 41. But like, what's your read on the pass catchers if we assume there's no Booty?
Stephon Diggs is I don't know if the right term, because he's more than a squint, but it's also not flawless. And I don't know if he's just going to like step into a massive workload, because frankly, nobody gets a huge workload here. Like in terms of snaps, sometimes people on a per game basis get a high target share, but I think that's also kind of random at times of
Pop Douglas plays like 5 snaps one week and then has like 160 yards the next, which I didn't know he's capable of.
13 routes for Douglas last week, 6 targets though, 100 yards and a touchdown.
I'm good.
Like that's absurd. But I think you'd have to start with Diggs as far as the receivers go and presume that there's going to be more there for him without. But also, like, Kayshon Boutte sometimes doesn't get a whole lot either, and it doesn't change a whole lot. So, again, I would need to cap things. This is not a slam dunk smash play for Diggs. But can you rank the pass catchers? You can throw a Hunter Henry in here.
Diggs 1, Henry 2. I'm not touching the rest.
I think that's probably the right way to go about it.
I would put Trevion right below Diggs, I think. So that is also in favor of maybe putting a receiver in flex. I don't know. That's probably stupid. I should probably go Trevion above Diggs, but I don't know. That shows you again how wishy-washy I am on Trevion even. So, and I might want to be seeing 40% of him. Cool. Aaron Jones didn't practice Wednesday for the Vikings due to a shoulder injury he suffered last week. He said he thinks he'll be good to go, but it's worth monitoring. We'll talk about them in the bookmaker section. And then Rico Dowdle missed practice Wednesday with a quad issue. Got banged up in week 9 but played through it. Sounds like Dowdle should practice on Thursday. Assuming Dowdle does practice, how are you viewing him at home against the Saints with a salary of $8,000?
I mean, I would want to say we had the 75% or 74% snap rate last week. Kind of split. I mean, he scored twice, but he and Chuba had identical red zone roles, which was a little surprising, but it could have been injury related, especially due to the snap dispersion or differential there. We know the yardage is there for Dowdle if he's healthy, so it's not a 1A, 1B situation. It's like, it's more than that. However, if we get into a situation where he's not 100%, they're playing well, they're playing kind of ahead, you might not get like full Rico unleashed, and that the salary, you kind of need him. Mm-hmm. I don't mind this offense. It's not like, oh, this is terrible offense, but they might not score a ton even in this spot. And I just don't really see myself playing him. It could burn me if he's full by Friday. Maybe I change my tune. But is this the matchup where you need to, like, this is a 5-4 team. They thought they found their running back last year. I feel like they found their running back for this year. Do they want to, if they're up 14 at halftime, like, do we see Chuba out there for the first series? Like, I think there's enough question marks where I can't put him in like the love territory. Yeah. And it'd be a lot easier if you could play someone on the other side to bring it back with, but
not doing that. Yeah. I agree with you where I'm pretty wishy-washy on him because the salary is up, which means he's competing with Devon Achane, Derrick Henry for my attention, and that's a bit tougher to grab than he would have been if he were in the mid-7 range when he's fighting with Quinshawn Judkins and Breece Hall. So I do like him. I like this matchup, and I like the Panthers running attack is just very good. Like, it's very sound. Even when they lose offensive linemen, they keep chugging. So I do like him. It's just a question of if I can get there, because I like McCaffrey a lot more below, willing to go to the value to get there. Maybe I end up glossing over this tier, and he's not the runaway favorite in this tier for me either. Let's dive in now to the games we are looking to stack for this week on FanDuel. Begin with, I believe, one of the higher totals in the slate. I think it's now tied for the highest total with like 6 other games. That is the Rams at the 49ers right now at FanDuel Sportsbook. Total is 49.5, and the Rams are favored by 4.5 in this game. The reason they're favored by 4.5 is it looks like it'll be no Brock Purdy once again this week. Mac Jones in line to start, with Purdy limited in practice Wednesday. Ricky Pearsall didn't practice. Puka Nacua, though, did practice. Limited fashion Wednesday. He is a wrecking ball, gets hurt every game. Doesn't matter. It checks a lot of boxes for stacking, Brandon, but a lot of the pieces come with very high salaries. So how are you viewing this one from a stacking perspective?
Yeah, this one's tricky because it should be easy, but it's not primarily due to the salaries. And sometimes you get that, but it's tough because sometimes you get that and it's like, well, these other games are solid too. No, I feel like this game's so far and away the best game that, and maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe you feel like differently, but usually it's like, well, I like these two games equally. This one's really hard to get to. It's usually like a Lions game where it's like Amon-Ra and Gibbs and everything. And like Justin Jefferson kind of, and it's like, okay, there's not really like I think this one's above those games to a degree that I want to get here, even though it's difficult. So that's going to make me more receptive to the value backs that we discussed. I don't know if you asked me a specific question of like my favorite ways to get here or not. Did you ask me my thoughts on it, or?
Yeah, overall thoughts.
Okay. I like it. What do you think?
I think it's good enough where I am willing to make some concessions, and this is the way you'd phrase it, make some concessions in order to stack this game. And that means getting to Puka Nacua and Christian McCaffrey. The question then would be, what about the secondary pieces here? Because like, we love Puka and we love McCaffrey, but they come with high salaries. Do you like this game enough to get to a George Kittle at 61, a Juwan Jennings at 63? My answer there is a pretty firm, heck yeah, man. I'm very on board with that. So I think that kind of tells you where I'm at. I like this game enough to prioritize getting to Nacua and getting to McCaffrey. And I like the secondary guys, primarily being Kittle and Jennings, because there are no secondary guys in the Rams. Devontae Adams' salary is $8,800. So I think this is a fun game to stack. I wish Stafford's salary were a bit lower, because it'd be like a primo spot to go with like a pocket quarterback on a slate like this. A little bit high for my liking at 8,000. I'm not going to write him off. I think he's still in the discussion at quarterback for sure, but like, I wish it were a bit lower. So honestly, like, yeah, even the secondary guys here, I'm very on board with.
Yeah, I do think that Stafford's very much in play.
Mm-hmm.
The salary is difficult, but when he throws the ball, you know where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's going to two guys who, yes, have high salaries, but who can make differences for your lineups. Devontae, it's mostly through the touchdown equity. He's got one 100-yard game this year, I think. Back against the Titans. Not a lot of double-digit target games either, if you care about like the raw volume of it. But like, if this is a competitive game, that's going to change. Yeah. And this is not the same 49ers defense that we've been dealing with. So I understand why the salaries are elevated. And to be honest, like, when they're inside the 5, I'm just like, how are they going to try to get this ball to Devontae?
Yeah.
And that's not nothing. So no. I think
if this game features 50 points, he's going to be involved.
Yeah. And if it's not good, then, I mean, your high salaried stacks here weren't going to hit anyway. But yeah. So I like Stafford. I don't mind Devontae. I much prefer Puka, which is very easy to say. But the yardage differential is phenomenal.
And their salaries are close enough where I can go feel like, okay, yeah, I can prioritize Puka here.
Yeah, it's usually this is like a 95 and 78
75
situation or something,
exactly.
but
yep. I do want to talk about Juwan Jennings and George Kittle, though. Jennings, we know, is dealing with an injury. He's got like 62 broken ribs. He's playing through it because he's a psychopath. And you can see here the yardage has been bad, but the market shares have been pretty good. He's got a 25% target share since George Kittle returned. And a good number of those have been high leverage targets. He has a 23% deep target share with a 36% red zone target share in this time. It's either him and McCaffrey in the red zone, it seems like. So Kittle will get his, and I like Kittle this week too. But Jennings 63 is one of my favorite value receivers on the week. How are you feeling about Jennings and Kittle this week?
Yeah, I have Jennings at a 25% target share in 3 games with Kittle back, 28% target per route rate. High number of money share targets. So when he's inside the 10 or in the end zone when he's targeted, 46%. That's really strong. I would like to. I kind of thought it was simply just play Kittle over Jennings because of the fact that he feels tight end and Kittle's got like that run after the catch ability. But I think the building blocks have been there for Jennings to have a really big game and to score twice. So simply put, I like this game a lot, and I want to find ways to get here.
Yeah.
And that includes Jennings, that includes Kittle. But yes, you're going to where I'm thinking.
Does it include Kyren?
Does it include Kyren is the question.
It does not for me.
Why not?
Blake Corum got the first series of the second half last week, and that is a red flag to me. I think Kyren is playing a lot better this year than he was last year. Like, he's actually generating some, like, he's getting more than 4 yards at a time. And that is encouraging to me. The Rams' explosive run rate is very high for running backs. So I think he's playing better, but Corum is not going away. And like the key appeal of Kyren in the past was, okay, he's going to play every snap and he's going to have a 48% red zone share. His red zone share is like 30 something percent this year. That's concerning to me. Like all those Devontae fades, those were Kyren runs last year. So $8,200 to me, I'd rather go Derrick Henry at 84. I prefer Rico at 8,000, frankly. So Kyren to me is not going to be part of the game stacks here.
I think that's the wrong
sell me on
way
it.
To go about it. I know that Corum had the first carry in the second half, but they were up 10 points. It's not massive, but they were winning. And the split in the first half was 12-3 in favor of Kyren, who was good, 50% success rate in the first half. If we're dealing with small samples and stuff, this team has just shown that they want Kyren involved, and we've been waiting for Blake Corum to kind of be there and take on more of the work. I just don't know if it's enough that it makes Kyren unplayable. I think that a multi-touchdown game from Kyren is still there. And you pointed out the yardage, the explosiveness is better. So I don't know if I have a great comp because his play style is very much unlike a James Cook. He's not like a Derrick Henry. Maybe a Josh Jacobs in like a really fun game is probably a solid like comp for Kyren. And I think that we would be okay with the Jacobs. I know the red zone rolls down, but I don't think it's just terrible. And I think that if we like this game, Kyren should be somewhat a part of it, especially in those situations where it's not every week where Puka and Devontae are going to have all the touchdowns. So I think from a game theory standpoint in tournaments, Kyren makes sense. From like a cash game built around him situation, absolutely not. So I think that there's still upside for Kyren, and I'm not as concerned about the Corum stuff as you seem to be, but I understand the hesitancy for sure.
Yeah, Corum's season high in carries have each come the past 2 weeks. Their past 2 games because they had a bye week between their two, and his second.
How many did Kyren have last week? 25.
Yeah, but again,
I understand.
And the Jags game was the same thing where they were blowing them out too. So like that's fair as well.
Again, it wasn't a complete blowout. It was 10 points at the half last week, but
Deacon agrees that it's because of the was the game flow at the Jags game. That was the one in London. I think it was London. There are too many international games. I don't know which one's where.
And now
he called him Karen Williams, and I think that's great. I'm going to call him Karen too. Thank you, Deacon. I appreciate that.
The problem though is the salary hasn't come down to account for the red zone rule being a bit weaker for Kyren. However, I do think that the single game output for Kyren is still 25 points because he can score twice and the yardage is not. We could have said, we probably joked hundreds of times last year that he could score twice and still not score 20 FanDuel points. It feels different.
It does.
It feels like we like this game.
He's been a lot better this year. Yeah.
If I'm going to make a bunch of again, I'll say the word concessions. I think that Kyren in a game that I love makes enough sense to me to want to be here.
Apparently Siri is working against Deacon. That's why it was Karen Williams. But thank you, Siri. I think that was actually a good contribution. Thank you, Siri, and thank you, Deacon. Karen Williams not in my lineups this week. Personally, a final question in this game: McCaffrey or Puka if you can only have one?
McCaffrey.
I would agree with that as well. So let's talk about the team with the highest implied total on the slate. That is the Buffalo Bills. That total is high because the total for the game is 49.5, shaded towards the over at -120. And the Bills are 9.5 point favorites. That puts their implied total at 29.5. They're a very complicated team, but potentially no James Cook here. And also Josh Palmer may be back. We do have some bringbacks potentially on the Dolphins. How are you viewing this one, Bills versus Dolphins?
So I said that the game we just talked about, the Rams and 49ers, was definitely the best game on the board. This one could be, but there's a lot of ways this could go wrong.
Correct.
And I feel like the Rams and 49ers has fewer paths to just being bad. It is a divisional game, but so is this. So if we stick with this game here, it's a big spread that doesn't always bring out the biggest from Josh Allen. However, James Cook is, probably not going to get a full workload, even if he plays. And frankly, his workload itself is never what makes your jaw drop. It's the production on the kind of limited workload. So we could see a little bit more rushing from Josh Allen, potentially. That's just a complete, projection based on the fact that this team has to win games. It's a competitive AFC East, but they could also be up 21-3 at halftime from 2 Ray Davis touchdowns and Josh Allen just coasts the rest of the way. That's a much bigger risk than it used to be, I think, or typically is moving into this game. Because we just saw the Dolphins do the same thing against a good offense and a good quarterback. There was just no pushback, and you don't need to run Josh Allen into the ground. If you're playing from ahead, because we just saw what happened, unfortunately, to Jaden Daniels whenever teams were a little reckless. So I'm not saying that Josh Allen's going to be in bubble wrap, but I don't know if we're going to get complete rushing Josh Allen. I don't know if he's going to throw a ton. And that every Bills game starts with how we feel about Josh Allen. And that's how I feel about Josh Allen entering week 10. So where are you top down? And we can start with your view on Allen as well.
I agree with you where this game is the potential to be the best one on the slate, and it has its downsides too. So we're in agreement on the overall view of this game where it has its issues, because I agree. If they do get a big lead, which they very well could against this team, they're not going to be full pedal to the metal, even though every game is very important for them right now. The good thing is the Dolphins have had their moments offensively, so they can push them. So Josh Allen, to me, not a cash game option because of those concerns, but very much on the tournament radar, especially if we get some value elsewhere. Maybe we get some value from this game, though, because Ray Davis is $4,600 for this week. James Cook, again, didn't practice on Wednesday. Typically wouldn't care about that, but it got a Shefty tweet, and those don't get thrown on lightly. Ray Davis would split work with Ty Johnson. I can guarantee that, because Ty Johnson is a guy they like a lot. He's going to get passing game work. But last year, when Cook sat out a game, Ray Davis operated basically in the James Cook role, where he was the early down guy, and then Ty Johnson remained in his role. So if there is no James Cook. How do you feel about Ray Davis? Any Ty Johnson in the mix for you? What are you doing at this backfield?
At the salary, I kind of feel like Ray Davis without James Cook would just be 100%.
He would be close. And like Ty Johnson, one thing keeping me lower than 100%, but he would be like, yeah, it'd be high.
Yes, we talk about Slate changing upside for every player in your lineup, but I think Davis kind of has that. Like, I think he's a good football player whenever he gets to be on the field. And we're going to get a little bit of this later in the year as we kind of get past the halfway point, but it's going to be pretty fresh, and that stuff probably matters a little bit. So to me, Davis, the floor, we don't know exactly what it is. The floor is kind of not there if Miami's really competitive and Josh Allen throws 45 times and they run 12 times total. And you look at the box score and it's like Ray Davis had 6 carries for 23 yards, and Josh Allen just threw everything else. That doesn't feel very likely. And at 4,600 for what it opens up to be able to roster Ray Davis there, who again is potentially going to be a lead back for the offense on the board with the highest implied team total, I don't think you overthink it too much.
Yeah, and it's also like an elite matchup with the Dolphins, who have gotten shredded by the likes of like Rico Dowdle and all those guys. And this Bills offensive line is sick. They've done a great job building up that infrastructure. They're running like jumbo personnel. They have the highest running back rush success rate in the entire league just for schedule. They get explosives. And like, yeah, they don't use Ray Davis a lot, but like, I don't think they dislike him. I think they just like James Cook and Ty Johnson a lot. So yeah. Would you use any Johnson at all or no?
I don't think so. I think the role and workload, and I could be proven wrong. This is another situation where I'd be like, look, if the props on FanDuel Sportsbook are like Ty Johnson's the play, then I say, yeah, I'll play some of both. But I would expect Ty Johnson to have more run if this is a competitive game or somehow Miami's playing from out in front.
Yeah. I might have like 10% Ty Johnson, but then Ray Davis would be the other 90%. I'd probably have one of the Bills running backs in every lineup, and I don't think I'd go lower than 90 on Ray Davis if that were to happen. Yeah. I don't mind Devon Achane either, though. Other side, $8,500 for him. He doesn't have the best yardage upside. Like, it's a lot worse than you would think based on the workload that he gets, but the workload is still really good. So far this year, Achane, 26.8 adjusted opportunities per game, carries plus 2x targets, 98 yards in scrimmage per game, 35% red zone share is underwhelming at this salary. But like, the Bills have been a team you could bully this year. I don't know if the Dolphins have the personnel to bully anyone, but like, he can get the job done. How do you feel about Achane at 85?
I think Achane's undergoing a little bit of a role improvement very quietly. Like, I don't think Ollie Gordon's the answer. And
yeah, he was a little bit now too.
Achane's red zone role has been pretty solid. It's over the last 2 games. He's had 48% of the red zone opportunities. It goes down kind of. He had half of them in week 9, but like it kind of goes down from there. But 43% the last 3 games. And basically since Tyreek Hill's been out, there's been a little bit of a notable bump in terms of getting him a little bit more involved in the red zone. Now, you're still really paying top dollar to roster Devon Achane at 8,500, which makes a lot of sense because he has that ability, but you also are kind of buying at the peak. And this could be another one of those games where it's not particularly close and they don't just keep running Achane into a wall. And he had 9 targets in their first meeting. He had 9 targets, 7 catches, 29 yards. And he had 12 for 62 as a rusher and didn't score. So like, it was fine. And you could get another one of those. So I think he's most playable whenever I tell myself that, hey, this game's good. I want to play Josh Allen here. And I want to play Ray Davis. And I might even take a swipe at one of the pass catchers for the Bills. Therefore, Devon Achane is relevant and he's doing something. But it does take myself telling myself a story to get peak Devon Achane. And maybe that means I'm a little too low, but he also hasn't proven me wrong very often this year.
No.
to have that mindset. So, and I like him. I like, it's not like every week I'm like, he needs to show me something, but in this spot, there are enough question marks where I can't really build around him outside of game stacks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The salary's high enough where I think that's the proper view of him as well. Let's talk about the pass catchers on both sides. Jalen Waddle's salary, $7,200. Khalil Shakir, 61. Malik Washington, not sure if he counts as a pass catcher. Like, he just gets a lot of running attempts and he catches a couple passes like behind the line of scrimmage. Keon Coleman's down to 51 for good reason. And Josh Palmer, 5,000. Of course, Dalton Kincaid as well at 62. What's your view of the pass catchers on both sides here?
How many more weeks is it going to take before we don't even mention Keon Coleman's name?
He's trending the wrong way. So this might be, I felt bad even like, when you see the salary 51, you're like, God dang it. Like, I want to stop thinking about this guy because, like, it seems like something's off. I don't know if they're souring on him. I don't know if he's like, he just, the body language police or the body language, like, little whirly bird in my head is not humming right now.
Well, it's also like, so I had stuff on the Dolphins pulled up, so I'll pull up my Bills notes on the other side, but, this is just one of those teams that they don't have to force feed anybody like a 30% target share, and they don't, and they're clearly not going to. They have a really good tight end in Dalton Kincaid, and they throw the ball to, other tight ends. I won't say 3 different tight ends have like, relevant target shares, but like Dalton Kincaid, honestly, I was like, okay, I can play Kincaid. His snaps have been down in, his game since returning, but he's been a big play guy and he's got that ability. The salary's, I think, way too high for what the role actually is, but the salary's fine for what the upside is if you get a Dalton Kincaid game, which feels a little wishful thinking. So where are you with Kincaid? I thought the salary was way too high.
Yeah.
But where are you?
Same. Where can't get there in a cash game because the role is not good enough for that salary, but his upside's good enough. So I agree that we're already setting Kincaid, and I think that he is like the guy here. I had Shakir last week because I thought it'd be a projected like neutral game script, and I don't think we're going to get that here because he needs 10 targets probably to like pay off just because like the efficiency is so bad. And I don't see this being a game where the Bills have to throw a ton. So not on Shakir. I'm going to have some very stupid Coleman lineups. Like I just know myself. I'm not going to like it, and it won't be any that are not tied to Josh Allen, but like, it is what it is. I'll have more Kincaid though. And last week I was like, okay, I'm probably going to have a stack with Josh Allen in like 8 out of 10 lineups. I'm lowering that to probably 6 out of 10, and most of those being Kincaid or Ray Davis. I would have Ray Davis in almost all those too, but
yeah, you're telling yourself the story that Keon Coleman basically scores because the target volume itself is just not enough to move the needle.
Yeah.
Like you can look at target shares even, and there's, not like, I get it, right? Like I know what he can do. He looks like he's a really good football player, but I agree with you where that doesn't always translate in terms of, I'm not bringing up the body language, but like something's off. And I think we can agree with that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like they're just itching to get this guy the 30% target share. That's, if anything, Khalil Shakir, but the ADOT, the air yard share is abysmal, and you need him to score. And he's got a solid red zone role the last 2 weeks. He leads basically in games with Kincaid in red zone share. So I understand it, but it's not the type of play that I want to really build around whenever we're not expecting massive target volume. So I'm pretty like tepid on the Bills.
What about Jalen Waddle as a bring back? 72. Role's been good. Upside has been meh, I would say. How do you feel about him?
So one of the things that I definitely wanted to monitor with Waddle was the usage since the Tyreek Hill injury, which is not surprising. It's been okay. Like 23% target share, a lot of downfield work for him. Not the most, like he's at a 25% target per route rate, which is sort of dead in between average and elite. And it's like, again, I understand the case for if this game's good, you play Waddle, you play Achane, not always together. I'm just saying, there's two Dolphins that I can consider playing. You play Josh Allen. We know what we're doing here. But this is when I'm building lineup Sunday morning, it's, hey, if this game's good, these are the stacks I want, which is different than looking at a blank lineup and be like, I want McCaffrey, I want Puka. Yeah. Can I make this work?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that too. Okay. Any final thoughts for you on this game?
I don't think so.
Then let's talk about our final game of the week. That is the Ravens going on the road take on the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Ravens favored by 4.5. Total in this game is up to 48.5. Still shaded towards the over at -115, so could go up even more, which would make me very happy. Get some CLV on my over bet at 47.5. Vikings showed some life with JJ McCarthy last week, and the Ravens look good enough against the Dolphins. Did you see enough in those two games to stack this game up on both sides?
I think we probably, I guess I can start with the Ravens because it's easier. I think Lamar, the only question is he going to need to run? Like, he ran a couple times. I don't think he was full Lamar, and I don't know if he's going to be full Lamar the rest of this year because he's frankly a good enough passer that he doesn't have to do full Lamar stuff with the legs to be, and we're looking at this from can they score 35 points themselves? And can Lamar be the QB1 by a mile? This team needs to win a game by 1 point or more. That's their goal. They just need to win the game. And that may or may not mean that Lamar has a big game. But I think he's salaried at peak Lamar right here. And I'm not sure that we're going to get that. But if you look at the box score, which Jim has pulled up, when he's played, he's been great. Yeah. And he got there with passing efficiency last week, 5 carries, 14 yards. Will that expand if this is a close game? Yeah, probably. Is it going to be full Lamar, though? That's the question. I'm pretty optimistic. And if we, typically we'd be looking hey, this is a Josh Allen or it's a Lamar week, take your pick. I'm a little lower on both than I would want to be. I think in the back of my head, I know how hard it is to build lineups around those guys, but I'm cool with both. And I probably still lean Josh Allen, but I have no real issues with Lamar. What are you thinking about this offense and Lamar specifically?
I think I'd actually go Lamar over Josh Allen due to a couple factors. First one being, I think this will be a more competitive game. I feel better about the Vikings offense than I do about the Dolphins. This game is indoors, which always helps. And although the Bills are desperate, the Ravens are desperate-er. Because they need to win out, effectively. Not really, but pretty dang close. So I think those things all add up. You mentioned that Lamar's played well when he's played. That is very true. He has had 25 plus FanDuel points in all of his full games. Now, part of it's because he's had a lot of his touchdown rate is unsustainably high. And we saw that in the Dolphins game, 23 attempts, 4 touchdowns. That ain't going to stick. But I do think that they can do well here against this Vikings team, which is very good and just did get Andrew Van Ginkel back this past week. They're at home now. That's the reason why I agree with you where both Allen and Lamar have flaws, but I like the things set up for Jackson more than I do for Allen. So slight edge to him, but I do like both.
Yeah, I post expected touchdown numbers on FanDuel Research, FanDuel.com.
He's got to be -2 by this point. Or +2, I mean. He's overperformed by 2.
Lamar?
Yeah.
As a passer?
Yeah.
I have him, and I check other stuff too. I have him over 5.
Oh, really? Okay.
The touchdown rate's just incredible.
Yeah.
And
so over 5 in 4.5 games played is insane.
Yeah, and it's we see outliers happen.
Yeah.
This happens occasionally. He's good enough to sort of do things, but there are a couple guys with just massive touchdown rates. Typically, that doesn't last a full year. Sometimes it does. It especially doesn't really tend to last multiple years. But Lamar's a good football player. But I'm kind of a coin flip between the two. I like both. And if we had a lot of value, and maybe we get maybe the thing is because quarterback's not great either. Quarterback's pretty bad. We'll talk about that in a minute, but or half an hour or whatever. But usually this would be cool. Allen and Lamar are on the board. Just take your pick. Are you going to play half your lineups have Josh Allen, half your lineups have Lamar? Maybe I get there if we get enough value that opens up at running back, but I still don't know if I can do it. I'm not going to fight you on Lamar over Allen. I think it's close. But I do think that the efficiency and the fact that I think for Josh Allen, either his team is going to score a lot of points or it's going to be close, and both are good for him. I think this game could be a little bit uglier because there's a chance that they try to they as in Minnesota tried to hide JJ McCarthy a little bit.
These defenses are a lot better too.
His defense is getting healthier. JJ McCarthy, I mean, we probably just open it up to the rest of the game here. He's like, I know the QB wins column looks great. The efficiency numbers are subpar. Even if you remove turnovers, he's been pretty far off of league average. Just a 37% passing success rate, according to NumberFire's metrics, is pretty weak. He can make stuff happen, but this game could easily get pretty muddy. And this feels like, again, both of these teams need wins. There's a difference between getting a win next to your name and going out and having a fantasy friendly game. So that's my bigger concern here compared to the Bills. So that's why I lean Allen a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, what do you think on this game overall? And what do you think we're going to get from JJ McCarthy?
I have this total pretty high, so I like this game. That is even with like full respect to both the defenses. But
can I ask where do you have Minnesota's offense?
I can actually get you an answer.
Yeah.
This is with teams that are on bye not being adjusted, mind you.
Okay.
So with teams on bye not being adjusted, I have Minnesota 24th in one model. And I don't have do I have an overall offensive one here? I don't think. Okay. But yeah, so not all that high.
Okay.
But so the total's high for other reasons, indoors, stuff like that.
Yeah, but you expect there to be good scoring, like, I guess I'm not asking you specifically where you have the Ravens defense, but this team's better defensively than they have been, getting healthier. I just think there are enough paths to sort of having this one be a little bit of a letdown from the Minnesota side.
Yeah.
So that's my main thing. But it's not like, I think JJ McCarthy is still playable because quarterback's pretty wide open in a sense. But let's move on to the rest of this game.
Yeah.
This is an indoor game. Two teams that have solid to, plus defenses, but also a lot of fun fantasy names. So who were you on in this game?
I think that if we didn't have Nakua and McCaffrey, then Justin Jefferson, Zay Flowers would be like my favorite mini stack on the slate.
He loves Zay Flowers.
I know, it's very stupid. I really wish I didn't, but like his he
target
has
share.
Upside.
Are you saying target share? I thought you were going to say his target share, but
like his target share is good. I know that doesn't matter as much with them, but like he has juice. He has upside as a pass catcher. And he is going to be the guy if Lamar goes off. It's probably going to be via Zay Flowers. So, like, if you look at the games that Lamar has played,
but is it? He had 4 touchdowns last week, and what did Zay do?
But he had 23 pass attempts. I'm more so talking about like if he goes off in terms of like he has like a good all around game. Okay. Zay with Lamar, 28% target share, 41% deep target share. Only 7% in the red zone. So, like, that's definitely a downside. But he can score a long touchdown, especially putting him indoors. And his salary is 71. So I like Zay a lot. Jefferson, the case should be pretty simple. He does get dinged because they don't really want to throw that much. But still had 9 targets last week. He's had 7 and 6 in the other 2 starts to McCarthy. Like he can get there for sure. So, and I like Addison too. Like an Addison Zay Flowers game stack works for me as well. So I like the receivers on both sides here.
Yeah, this feels like I'll get your Baltimore Minnesota stacks as I'll say a secondary thought behind 49ers and Rams. And the 2 other secondary thoughts are just these 2 games that we're talking about. To me, I think based on various reasons, just the top three. And I think we settled on a good top three here.
Yeah.
But it's not, there's such a big difference between looking at that blank lineup that you have there and going to Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers like mini stack.
Yeah.
So I think it's very stackable. It's relatively straightforward to stack. I am with you on those, especially the top three receivers. You could sell me on look, man, this is going to be a weird slate. It's 10 games, maybe 4 or 5 of them are just not good. And you're like, well, if you play like JJ McCarthy and Jefferson and with Addison, like do a double stack, or like even maybe Jalen Naylor kind of, this game's competitive. I think Jalen Naylor is like decent. I'm not going to get there, but like this is a slate where I think we throw out some of our conventions out the window.
Yeah. It's not as clean as the Niners-Rams game, but that also probably means that these guys will come in with hopefully lower roster rates. So yeah, that's the hope there for me. I'm just going to check. Ignore me. Please. Should I stop screen sharing while I look at this? Yeah, don't do that. Okay, never mind. It is a Rashad Bateman homecoming game, though, because he played college ball at Minnesota. So I'm going to throw that one out there. The JJ McCarthy back to Detroit or back to Michigan narrative worked last week. So run it back with Rashad Bateman, obviously.
It did.
They won. QB wins, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
QB wins. Come on. That's all that matters. I'm not getting the tight ends in this game. Same for you?
Yeah, I think I'm out.
All right. How are we feeling about Derrick Henry? $8,400. $119 last week in a very good matchup. The Vikings rush defense has had some leakiness to it recently, but we also know that like he can be totally dusted in a game. So where are you in Henry at 84?
Yeah, Henry with Lamar, I'm at 96 yards per game. Not the best red zone share, honestly, but I'm at 25%. And I think like you can't compare him to Kyron. I compare him to James Cook, basically, of like,
sure,
hey man, he got 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I saw enough from him on Thursday night last week that made me, I was out on him a bit. I'm not saying I'm fully back in, but I do think he's back into that territory of slate changer for tournaments. So that's all it is.
I agree with that as well. And I'll use him in game stacks. I'm not going to be super high outside of game stacks because I don't want to be in this range a ton. But like I will use him in game stacks for sure. Okay, let's dig in now to our trends discussion for week number 10, beginning with the Arizona Cardinals. Giving the reins over to Jacoby Brissett for at least the next 4 weeks with Kyler Murray now being on IR. You dug into the Cardinals offense with Brissett. Tough matchup here. So what are you expecting for Arizona this week?
Yeah, this was a pretty fun thing to track just because there's been a lot of drama in the NFL this week, which we don't always get. And part of it was a quarterback change, going from a franchise passer to a journeyman passer. So yeah, we're going to dig into the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett. They are 1-2 with Brissett under center, but they lost to the Colts and Packers by 4 points each. They beat the Cowboys on the road in prime time by 10 points, 27-17. And now the Cardinals head to Seattle to face the Seahawks, which is kind of a solid pass defense on paper based on a lot of metrics. It's not as strong as I kind of feel like they should be, which was surprising based on a lot of the numbers, but they're a tough rush defense and a great pass rush. So like it could be a little bit of a, hey man, Jacoby just had to go do some stuff because Sam Darnold in this offense just put up 35 and there was some bring back. And I don't like targeting, teams that are playing from behind. That's not really, you need efficiency more than just volume, but like Jacoby's been pretty solid, honestly. And he's got 2 guys to throw the ball to, over 280 yards per game, 2 touchdowns, 7.7 yards per attempt. The EPA numbers are solid, especially when you adjust for opponent even. 0.09 EPA over expectation per drop back. So if you play to the level of the defenses that you face, you'd be at a 0. He's at a 0.09. That's pretty nice. 49% success rate. It's just like he's doing enough to move the chains and get the ball into the hands of his player, like his key players. And he can do a little bit on the ground. 16 yards per game, some red zone rushing. We saw the sneak on Monday night, but the real value, it seems, stems from getting the ball to Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. The salary, though, for Trey McBride is elevated at $7,000, which is just difficult to get to on a slate without a lot of value, but maybe we get there, and maybe we should, because he is while not a 30-point like upside guy, he is a difference maker at tight end potentially. So in 3 games with Brissett starting, McBride is at a 32% target share. Marv's at 18%, but these guys are averaging over 60 yards a game. 67 for McBride, 62 for Marv. Like, I think that people probably expected this is like a phenomenal change based on like the sentiment that I'm kind of seeing for how good it is for these guys. I think it's much better for McBride than it is for Marvin Harrison Jr. But they got good downfield work, both over 30% of the downfield targets. And McBride, I think the real difference here, though, is you can look at target shares and everything, but when you look at touchdown opportunities, McBride is at 82% of the end zone targets in this split, with Marv getting the other end zone targets. So that's fun. And when you look at how is this going to extrapolate in a game where they might throw more, et cetera? McBride's at a 30% target per route rate, which is at that elite cutoff, and Marv's at 23%, which is above average. But I think I'm like super excited to play Marv necessarily. I think it's still good. I think it's an overall benefit, but it's not like, hey man, this dude should be like 8,000 with his salary based on this workload. McBride's very fun, very much in play. It is difficult to get there salary wise. And because we know that there's going to be some eyeballs on this offense and frankly, some optimizer love for this team potentially, I will point out, I don't know if the running backs have enough for me. Last week, Amari DiMercato, 40% of the snaps, had a good, yardage game, but Bam Knight played 57% of the snaps, 25% of the red zone opportunities, 32% of the routes. It's not bad, but I think it's a timeshare for a team that I don't love. Tough matchup. So I'm probably not going to get there. I was just astonished to see Amari DiMercato pop up in some early week optimizers. So I feel like I had to touch on it. So there's a whole trend digging into how this team's looked. I think Jacoby's fine. I'm probably not going to play him by himself. Makes me feel a lot like, frankly, I wouldn't play. If Kyler was coming back and McBride was at 7,000, I'd be like, no thanks. I kind of want to play Trey McBride though still. I don't know if I can is the problem. But I'm also not just going out of my way to play Marvin Harrison Jr. So it might be a bunch of nothing, but I think we needed to dig into it. So where are you with the Cardinals with Jacoby?
Well, I think the question is this a game stack consideration for you, given that the Seahawks are playing really good ball? Yeah. Cardinals secondary is a little bit banged up, and Sam Darnold has a pretty low salary. He doesn't run ever, which I hate.
Right.
But he's been crazy efficient. He just got a guy we both think is a genuinely good football player in Rashid Shaheed. Jackson Smith-Njigba is playing like a madman. So I'm not opposed to some Darnold lineups, and a McBride or a Harrison bring back isn't too bad there. So I think that's kind of their utility, is as a bring back option for maybe a Darnold JSN stack. Are you receptive to that kind of thing?
I am, and I almost got to the point of why isn't Darnold just my QB1? If I can't get to anybody else, the efficiency should be there. This is a second time around divisional matchup. Darnold was 18 of 26 in the first meeting. It was a 23-20 win for Seattle at the buzzer with the Jason Myers field goal. Interestingly, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and let me double check this because this is a cool enough stat that I want to make sure I have it right. He was held to a season low 79 receiving yards in this game against Arizona.
They all came in the second half. I'm very aware. I had his receiving yardage over in that game. But the guy who held him in check is now in concussion protocol. So that helps.
So I the point that you made is the point that I kind of was going to just roll out at the end here of, I don't know.
Yeah.
The fairly affordable game stack.
Yeah. I'm not opposed.
Darnold, is it one QB game?
Half to 0.75, I would say, because like I need some convincing, but I probably should be higher. And like I would bet by the time we get to the quarterback scroll, I'm probably at a firm 1.
Is that just 1 completely for
It's
Darnold?
just Darnold, yeah. I will not use Jacoby.
Tell me why.
Really tough matchup on the road, decently big underdog.
He's done some stuff though against like tough defenses too.
I don't really care, honestly. He did well against the Packers, but that was at home, and I don't respect the Colts that much. So
that's fair.
Pre-Sauce Gardner Colts, I don't. So he's not going to run.
So your favorite route here is going to be Darnold, JSN, McBride.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind.
Doesn't save a lot of salary, but yeah,
no, it doesn't. And some bad news is that James Cook is back at practice. So
okay. Well, there goes that.
Thanks, man.
He did say see you next week, but
he did.
I don't know. Wasn't that a whole thing? I can look into it because you're gonna talk running backs, right?
Yeah.
I thought he said. Let me get this. This is from the Sporting News via Yahoo, I guess. See you next week, Cook said with a smile. But I was like, does that mean see you next week or like see you this weekend?
Yeah. Can we ask him to define this?
That stuff always bothers me of like, is it, next Sunday or Sunday? Because
I need either him or Swift to take a vacation this week. Just like chill out, sip a pina colada, enjoy yourself.
We'll talk about this at running back, but like assuming Cook plays now, if Swift plays, like we could be hurting. I might play a lot of David Montgomery. I
might play a lot of Travion Henderson, and I don't remember the other one. Oh, Woody Marks. Cool. Love that.
The guy you can't even remember.
Love that for me. Love to tie my running backs to Davis Mills. Cool. Speaking of running back,
who else did I love this week? Yeah.
Who was that guy again? I can't remember. But honestly, I have to have that discussion because the running backs are pretty mid. And a lot of it is due to their running back red zone workloads. We've talked about red zone workloads for backs and passing, but I wanted to dig in a bit more because a lot of them seem flawed. So I wanted to see how that should influence our approach to DFS. And again, when we're talking about workloads here, I'm talking about the red zone share, which is the percentage of team carries or targets inside the red zone. So like if you're a pass heavy team, that's accounted for in this number. Christian McCaffrey is the only untouchable here. He has a 58% red zone share, which is absurd. Nobody else with a relevant sample for this slate has gone where the relevant sample is more than one game is above 44%. So McCaffrey is king. Others above 40% are actually Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that's noteworthy. Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White without Bucky Irving, Kyle Monunga without DeAndre Swift, RIP, and then Ramondre Stevenson without Antonio Gibson if he's able to go. So like 2 of those samples might not be relevant. Everybody else is below that number. And again, I like 40%. I love 44%. We're not getting a lot even above 40%. So overall, we don't have many guys in the good zone, much less the elite zone. And some of them are actually like kind of concerning. Like James Cook is at 34%. Devon Achane, 35%. Derrick Henry's at 27% in the 5 games with Lamar Jackson. Karen Williams is down to 34% after leading the way in this category previously. Like he was at 46%, 50%. Like it was awesome. So Kyron getting downgraded. Rico Dowdle, 31% in his 1 game against the Panthers, like fully back. It's a 1 game sample, so I don't want to oversweat that. And this isn't just randomness either, because like league wide, the rush rate inside the 5-yard line is down about 5 percentage points from where it was last year. And we need touchdowns in fantasy, and those seemingly have gone more through the air than in previous years. Does this make you any more interested in flexing a receiver, or are we still justified in continuously prioritizing running backs?
I think this week in particular, it makes sense. Now, okay, so here's the problem, and this is always like the optimizer thing, the perfect lineup looking back at stuff. It comes down to predictability at a certain point. Like we can compare Woody Marks. I think he did Woody Marks he did Travion versus like Stephon Diggs. The problem is that it's not 1-to-1.
Sure.
What happens with running back is there are going to be 3 value backs. Like, let's just say it's David Montgomery, Woody Marks, and Travion Henderson. You've got reasons to play those guys because you believe that their workloads are going to be there, their matchups, the opportunity, like specifically for Montgomery, like the other 2 guys might have better workloads. The thing is, you're looking at a lot of receivers, 5, 6, 7 guys with very similar numbers, kind of net out somewhat equally because of this team's got a good matchup, this team's got the better quarterback, etc. It comes down to, Stephon Diggs scored twice, but you also might have played Juwan Jennings instead. And when it comes down to that, it is going to be easy to look back and be like, I should have played receivers. It's the predictability part of things that is always something to keep in mind whenever it comes to floor, ceiling, whatever. This week in particular, like, I'm glad you brought this up because it will make me a little bit more open to, like, you know what, maybe a running back who's still kind of losing out touches to Nick Chubb and whose quarterback is now bottom tier. Like, maybe he's not someone that I need to get heavily exposed to because I have Juwan Jennings or Stephon Diggs, or, we'll look at, there's other names there. So it is a little concerning. It's a little surprising, honestly. But if I could figure out, I mean, do you have just the last 3 years of data? I think you sent it to me in terms of
the pass rate inside the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I wonder if it's been up. It feels like it's been up.
So the
maybe
rush
back
rate
to a more normal
rush rate inside the 5. I've got a bunch of stupid notes on here. Okay. The rush rate inside the 5 in 2023 was 57%, went up to 57% 56.8% to 57.4% last year. Wait, what am I talking about? Oh, I was looking at the 2 and closer. The rush rate inside the 5 is down 2 percentage points. It's down 5 percentage points inside the 2. So vindication for Pete Carroll with Marshawn Lynch, maybe. And it's down in the red zone, but just a smidge. 49.8% in 2023, 48.9% in 2024, and 48.1% this year. So a bit of a downward trend there. But it's more about like when they're on the goal line, there's been more passing.
Okay. Yeah. It's probably just has so much to do with
Devontae.
Lobbing at Devontae all the time.
Pretty much. So yeah, I think that we just need to be more receptive to it than we usually are, which is a change for us. And I will still likely wind up going running back if we get no Ramondre and no Nick Chubb. But if we get one of those guys to play and taking those value plays off the table, then I'm going to shift because it's not a good slate for running back at all. Weather for this week is also a story because like we would have had the Giants against the Bears in the game stack section if it weren't for the fact that there are projected 19-mile-per-hour winds in Chicago this weekend. That ain't great. I still am willing to consider Caleb Williams and Jackson Dart because like that game could still be okay, but that hurts there. 11-mile-per-hour winds in Charlotte for the Panthers and the Saints. 10 in DC, Arlington for the Commanders and the Lions. And it's also 10 miles per hour in East Rutherford for the Jets and the Browns. Oh no, abandoned ship on all your Jets and Browns stacks. RIP. But Cedric Tillman is still popping up in optimals for some reason. So again, concern spots there. Bears versus Giants, Panthers versus Saints, Lions versus Commanders, and the Jets against the Browns. Let's dig in now to the position by position breakdown for this week over on FanDuel.com. We're going to break down our top plays for this week. Let's start things off at quarterback. We have talked to this slate, Brandon. We now know that probably James Cook's going to play, which hurts the value. So if we assume that value winds up being pretty thin this week, what's your top level view of quarterback? What are you doing here?
Top level view of quarterback, assuming that there's minimal running back value, is that I probably got to move away from Josh Allen and Lamar as my QB1. And then it becomes a who could say kind of a situation in a lot of these. It's not that nobody's good. Yeah. It's that it's similar to it's very similar to receiver. and you look back and it's like, oh, you should have played like Baker Mayfield. It's like, well, he didn't stand out a ton compared to everybody else. It was sort of a lot of guys on the list, and someone emerged and had, the QB 1 week. There are 5-ish names that I would put on that list as I do this very quickly off the cuff, but they're all kind of tiered together in a lot of ways too. So where are you with the top 2, and where are you looking at quarterback? What's your take on it at this point?
I agree that it's tough to get to Allen and Lamar because the question is, if we have minimal value at running back, do you want to prioritize McCaffrey and Nakua, or do you want to prioritize Allen and Lamar? And both those guys have their flaws, as we discussed earlier on. So to me, I'd rather spend down at quarterback in order to get to those studs. And frankly, spending down at quarterback could involve going all the way down to Marcus Mariota at 63.
It could.
He is taking on the Detroit Lions. Is some wind in that game, as alluded to, but we know Mariota will run a bit. He has been decently efficient. He's got Deebo Samuel healthy once again. The offensive line, I think, has been okay for Washington. They got Sam Cosmi back out there. Laremy Tunsil's played pretty well. So I'm not opposed to Mariota at 63, but it's only because this slate at quarterback is pretty underwhelming. So if I were to look right now, assuming that James Cook plays, I wouldn't be shocked if Mariota winds up being the quarterback in my highest dollar single entry lineup.
It's so tough because I could go both ways on, okay, do you think he gets to 25 in this matchup? Probably not.
No.
So that makes him more of he's really got to open up the right the right names for you.
Yeah.
So you play him in tournaments, but at the same time, it's like, would it surprise me if he gets 13 FanDuel points?
No.
And it's like, well, that if that's a possibility,
right.
I don't care what he opens up. That's hard for a cash game.
Right.
So I go I want to play him, but I also don't even know the right format because I feel like the range is...
He's not perfect for either format.
That's the thing is the range is actually kind of large for him, where they could try to do almost nothing with him, or he doesn't...
The range is large in a bad way because it doesn't involve an amazing ceiling. Yeah.
Because it starts... Mm-hmm. It's I don't know, I'd say 12 to 22 is the range as opposed to 20 to 30.
Yeah.
I know the salary's low. That's not lost on me.
Yeah.
But I think I'm probably going to look elsewhere for QB1.
Okay.
And it might just end up being, and he doesn't save a ton of salary, but it could possibly be why not just play Drake May in a game that could also be kind of, fun. I think May, the pure passing yardage upside for him hasn't been phenomenal, but he's over 200 in every game. Just hasn't hit 300. He's got multiple touchdowns in 4 straight through the air. Hasn't had a rushing touchdown in 5 straight games, which is a little surprising because he can go. So if we say, hey, Allen and Lamar, they kind of get you 25, everyone's playable at that. Not everyone's playable, but there's no real restrictions on selling yourself on anybody. So May does it for me, but at that rate, I'm why not Stafford in a game that we love as a pocket passer who's just efficient? So do you have any thoughts on May and where are you kind of starting from here?
Yeah, he does run, as you said. And I think we'll see a lot of passing volume in this game because the Bucs are good against the run and the Patriots can't run. So we should see a lot of passing volume in this game, which is good to stop that clock and make things a little bit faster in that regard. And also the Buccaneers do face the most schedule adjusted quarterback rush attempts per game. We have a place we can stack him with Stephon Diggs. So I understand the appeal there for sure. I might prefer Baker Mayfield in the same game, though, because they are slight favorites. They're coming off a bye. I also know where to stack him. I can do a double stack with Emeka Egbuka and Cade Otton. And the Patriots are very similar to the Buccaneers, where they have been really good against the run, pretty bad against the pass. Even in the games with Christian Gonzalez being back, and he'll play because he was full in practice on Wednesday, they haven't been great against the pass. So I might go Baker over May, but I think both guys are worth firmly considering.
Do you like this game? How far away from this game, or how far away from the top tier, which I'll say, or can you just say for clarity, do you like the Rams and 49ers more than any other game by a good margin?
Not by a good margin, but I do like it more than other games.
Okay. So then you can put it in the same tier as Bills, Dolphins.
Ravens, yeah.
in the Ravens game.
Mm-hmm.
Is this game close to that for you?
It's a half step below because I worry about the sacks that May takes. That could be an issue because the Buccaneers do generate pressure. It's only the second time this year the Patriots faced a top 10 defense by number of fires metrics. Other one was the Browns, and they played well there, but they got off to a kind of a slow start. And this game is on the road. So they haven't faced a lot of tough tests, and this is that. And that's like sticking in the back of my head. I still think they'll play well. And I've got a bit of value in the Patriots at +2.5. I haven't taken it, but like I've got some value there. So I think they'll play well, but that is at least in my head.
Yeah. So we have Jared Goff outdoors in a very good matchup at 7,800. Does that do anything for you?
He's another to consider. I think he's below Mayfield and May, probably below Stafford too. So I just won't. I won't wind up using him, but I think he's worth discussing at least.
I'm with you. We'll skip Sam Darnold for now, so we can talk Dart and Caleb together in the same game. If winds are around 19 miles an hour, do you play either? Like just minimal?
I probably don't.
I think there's too many quarterbacks. I played so many quarterbacks last week. It's the one thing I try to stick to is don't play too many quarterbacks so that, if my quarterback goes off, I want to take advantage of that, not have 2 out of 10 lineups with a good quarterback game. So I need to cut guys out. I would, if there were no wind in this game,
they would be consideration for QB1 for me if there were no wind.
Yeah. And we talk about wind a lot, scoring dips. It's not that these guys can't have big games. It's not that there can't be passing efficiency, but it's enough where I'm looking for names to cross off. So I'm probably just not going to get there. I'd rather play Dart and win just because he'll run more than Caleb.
Agreed.
Also, Caleb going to be dinged because he's not going to catch passes in the win probably. So
I have this total at 45.3 right now. If I lower that wind speed to 10 miles per hour, it goes up to 46.9. So if it were to come down to 10, I could see getting to these quarterbacks. I just don't think that's going to happen because this forecast has been pretty sticky throughout the week. So that's a downside there. Darnold, I will use. Yeah. I said I think that he'll wind up being a 1 by the end of the show. I'm just going to say that he's a 1 for me. I think that he'll be in my player pool this week at 75. Given that low salary, given the efficiency, maybe they let him be a bit more pass heavy now that they got Rashid Shaheed too. I don't expect that necessarily. I think that's the right approach to be run centric, even though you're inefficient. Just to keep, I want calm around Sam Darnold, and I think they're doing a good job of getting that. I think he can be there even without the volume though. So I do think that Darnold's in my player pool this week.
Yeah, he's a tick behind the Mayfield, Stafford, May convo, but he makes sense as an efficient pocket passer who could throw for 250 and 3, and nobody else is phenomenal. So you played Sam Darnold, and you knew who to stack him with. I understand it from that standpoint. He's actually had, I think, 20 plus FanDuel points in 3 of his last 4.
And 30 plus twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's also got an unsustainable touchdown rate, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's going to stop quite this week. So
yeah, I probably would put him below Baker, I guess. I don't know.
It's safer for Darnold, but
yeah. Any other values besides Mariota you want to shout?
I would consider JJ McCarthy if there's a little bit of that de-gaffery.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to play.
If he really taps into the alter ego, apparently he has an alter ego that he calls 9. Who gets a little angry. If we can get some 9 in this game, that could be fun.
He looks a little too much like a young wrestler, so I could see that. Probably not going to play Jacoby.
No.
I think I'm just probably out on the rest here.
Yeah. So the quarterbacks I can say will be my player pool. Mariota will be there. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I will get to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I prefer 3. I'll go 4 or 5. I think with this week and how unpredictable it is, I'll probably get to 5. And right now, the most likely guys to be the final 2 slots are Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield.
I think I have May and Mayfield over Darnold.
Okay. I struggled to push back on that. So fair and understandable. So the loves, I think we just kind of went through that. There aren't really any this week, right?
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
think I have. I don't know who I'm going to play first. And like usually I start lineups with quarterback. I don't think I can this week.
Yep. Okay. Going to running back, McCaffrey at 97. Pretty bulletproof, right? Like not
He's
a
my
lot
favorite play on the slate. He's got the
Yeah.
yardage. He's got the red zone work. He's still due for more touchdowns, despite leading the league in expected touchdowns based on my numbers. So when I am looking at the blank lineup, I want to plug in Christian McCaffrey and figure it out from here.
I'd agree with that too. James Cook, if we assume he plays now, let's say he's full by Friday. I think 92 is pretty high. It's a really good matchup, but if he's a little bit banged up and they don't need to like push him to 100%, I don't think they're going to. And that's my big concern with him.
Yeah, he's too up and down. You see the box score itself. You can't always do that, but I feel like James Cook, you can. It's like, does he have huge runs or not?
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to get there.
So let's talk about the 8K range altogether. That is Jahmyr Gibbs, 88, Devon Achane, 85, Derrick Henry, 84, Kyron Williams, 82, and Rico Dowdle at $8,000. Who's your favorite out of that group?
So Gibbs, Achane,
Everyone on
all five of these?
Yeah.
They're all kind of like soft likes, but I think it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs.
I agree.
I'm not convinced that what we saw last week from him is just the new normal in terms of the workload. Like the snaps were still fine. This guy's not, a 90% snap rate guy. He's going to have issues. He can lose out some work, but this is a spot where Detroit could score 50 again, which they're not, strangers to doing. And in that case, Jahmyr Gibbs just is, 170 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. So if I'm playing for upside, if I'm playing one of these 5 guys, I'm playing for the angle of it's not a cash game. It's a who has a big game. I think I'm safest with betting on Jahmyr Gibbs in this matchup.
I agree with you. Gibbs is my 1. I would go Rico 2 if he's full by Friday.
I'd go Achane.
I think Achane is my 3. So I agree with that. I will not get to Kyron, but I will have Derrick Henry. So they're all soft likes, is what you said.
Yeah.
Except for Kyron for me, but the rest I do like. 7K range is good.
No, I was gonna say but is this kind of the tier to get in on with do you play Judkins? I know you're not there on Brees exactly, but because Judkins borderline RB 1.5 ish.
He's probably a guy I want to be using a lot.
Yeah.
It's not because I adore him though, just because his total is so low, and I do want high total games at running back too. He's only had 100 plus yards from scrimmage twice. It is a good matchup now with no Quinton Williams, but the Jets were actually good against running backs before, so it's I don't think it's some Civ matchup now. It's just they become a neutral matchup, which is still noticeable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't go super super crazy with him personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I'm similar to Brees. I think I'm higher on Brees than you are, but I could see just some running back stacks to make things work, especially in lineups where I don't play McCaffrey, because I can't, as much as I'd love to play McCaffrey in every lineup, I can't. Yeah. And at 9,700, you need the touchdown still.
Yeah. It is a tough matchup for McCaffrey too. So it's not going to so that's enough where I'm not going to have in every lineup, but yeah. I don't like the rest of the 7K range. Rachaad White lost out in some goal line work to Sean Tucker the week before their bye week. The Patriots are really good against running backs. You can get them via the pass. Maybe Rachaad White gets there, but if he's got rush yardage upside concerns and goal line concerns, yikes. That's tough. Kenneth Walker, not doing enough for me. DeAndre Swift, losing out on work. Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, why is his salary? I mean, I know why. It's because he played Sunday. So I know why his salary's there. And I would have done the same thing, but I'm not going to use him. So honestly, I'm just kind of out on this 7K range outside of Quinshon Judkins. Brees Hall will be number 2 for me, but that's just because I dislike everyone else.
Yeah. I'd rather play Kyle Manon guy than Swift if they're going to potentially have similar workloads.
Yes.
No ETN in that tough spot.
Yeah. My non guy at 65, I am higher on now than I was before, just because, again, running back is pretty tough. He could be good on a 50% snap share, and he might get better than that if they're still trying to manage DeAndre Swift a bit. So
yeah,
I think 65 for him, he'd be in play if we don't get a lot of value at running back for sure.
Yeah. I I'm with you. He's fine, and I'm probably going to play him more than I want to. But again, everyone's in some sort of a timeshare, especially below like 75. So
the only alternative in the 6K range, I'm sorry, but like Tyrone Tracy could have a better role than he had last week. That was weird. How much Devin Singletary played. I think Tyrone Tracy's a good football player. His matchup this week is really good. I don't want to go here. I prefer Monangai, but he's there. Like if Ramondre plays, so I lose Henderson, if Nick Chubb plays, I would be okay with Tracy as like my lowest salary guy at 63 at that point.
I'd rather play David Montgomery than Tyrone Tracy, I think.
David Montgomery is averaging 63 yards from scrimmage per game this year. I can't do it.
Tyrone Tracy was outsnapped by Devin Singletary.
Single digits. Yeah.
One team could score 50.
Yeah, the Giants can score 50. The Lions can score 40.
I'm not going to use a ton of Montgomery, but the week is so bad at running back that I think
you're just trying to warm up for Thanksgiving. I get it.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. 5K range, the only two guys, if we assume, as things stand, Trevion Henderson, 59 if there's no Ramondre, Woody Marks if there's no Nick Chubb. I will use more of them than I should, just because they're going to play a lot of snaps. I don't know. I would prefer Woody. That's probably stupid. I should prefer Trevion just because his quarterback is good and Woody's is not. So I'll go Trevion over Woody, but I'll use both if we get their respective starters out.
What if Ramondre plays? What if he's full by Friday?
Then I can't use Henderson.
No consideration to Ramondre then?
He's going to have 12 rushes for 13 yards, maybe a touchdown. He's got the classic, he scored a touchdown, still didn't get you double-digit FanDuel points. He's the poster boy of that.
I know you're always lower on him than I am, but I don't think I'd get there either. Any Bam Knight consideration?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's really, for me, just Marks or Henderson down here, unless we get weird news, which we could hopefully do.
Okay. What is there any chance Rico doesn't play?
I doubt it, but if he didn't, I could go cheap at 55.
Would he be 100%?
No, but he'd be solid. He'd be 80 probably. I'd be high enough for sure.
I think he'd be running hard for his job.
And he's a good football player too. It's just Rico's been better. So yeah, if there were no Rico, I'd use Chuba at 55. Yes, good question.
Would you play the guy who led the Giants backfield in snaps last week?
I would not. Okay, loves the running back for me are McCaffrey. I guess Judkins. And then Trevion.
It might be those three, yeah.
And then I would put Woody Marks as the second, almost love, harder than a softer than a love.
Sounds like a number one album.
I'll work on that. Okay, receiver. Final thoughts for you on Puka Nacua.
Would love to get there. I don't know if I can. If I can only play one out of him or McCaffrey, I'm going to play McCaffrey.
Yep. I'd agree with that too. We also have Jackson Smith and Jigba in the 9,000 range. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 93. Justin Jefferson, 9,000. I'm highest on JSN. Followed by
do you worry at all about JSN's red zone role?
No.
Okay.
In what way?
It's just not the overall share is not great. His target share is good, but
neither is Puka's.
I know, but I guess that's fair.
And they both have the same yardage. So
yeah.
So I think they're kind of the same player, honestly. I prefer Puka's game, which is why I like him more. And then Jefferson I'll have in game stacks. I like him there. Probably no Amon-Ra this week just because the other guys are so good up here.
Yeah.
How about Devontae relative to these guys? Because it drops off in salary after him.
I get the case for it, but I think I play Devontae only when I'm playing Stafford.
Agreed. So we jump down to the I'm gonna skip Nico with Davis Mills. That's okay. Sorry, Nico. He'll be back soon. Emeka Ibuka 78. And let's discuss him. Let's just do the entire 7K range. Who stood out to you when you were looking at this range?
Stood out to me. It's a lot. It's a lot of sort of likes. Without super loves. I'd say Ibuka. I'm okay to go back to Rome. I have Waddle and Zay Flowers listed as well. I'm probably highest on Ibuka there, although the target share is not as good as I thought it would be.
24%, the 43% deep target share, and 26% in the red zone. It's not what you want for 78. So I understand that. But now he hasn't had a lot of games where he's been healthy with no Godwin and no Evans. And he has that here. So maybe that helps boost him.
Yeah. Rome gets bumped down a ton, not because of the donut last week, but due to the wind. So I'm probably not going to get there. I guess I should have thrown Addison on there, but he's just a stack candidate for when I play some Ravens or play McCarthy. I didn't list Debo.
Give you 10 Mariota lineups, which might be aggressive, but how many of those have Debo stacked with him?
Probably 6.
Yeah, I'll say half. So 6 sounds good to me. I think that's fair. Because he's had good shares this year. Debo in his games, 26% overall share, 31% deep, 35% in the red zone. Seems pretty healthy relative to where he was at. So I don't mind that against a Lions secondary that's pretty banged up. They've played well overall, but I don't mind Debo as a Mariota stack. Not going to use him outside of Mariota lineups though, because I prefer Addison and I prefer Zay Flowers around him.
Do you prefer Waddle to Debo?
Good question. I don't know.
I do.
I probably prefer Waddle.
I feel like Waddle's got the best path to the 40% target share in a game that could be good.
He has a better path to 140 yards as well, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I like that. But Zay is my number one, as you know. $7,100. Elite target shares, could have to throw a bunch, desperation spot for the Ravens. He's indoors, checks every box, baby. Let's go. 71. He's my love.
At least you have a stronger take than I do on somebody. I don't mind him, but I don't love him.
Okay. Down to the 6K range. Who stood out to you here?
I had Marv as a somewhat consideration. In the assumption that there is enough volume for him to get double digits. It did hurt my heart to go right past Jameson Williams, but he's outdoors and the salary's up for some reason.
And the wind is high-ish.
I guess Juwan and then Diggs.
Yep.
And Shakir to a degree, but not loving the Shakir play again.
I would label both Jennings and Diggs as Jennings is a love, Diggs is a soft love, I would say. Because of the salary, because of the workload, because of the offenses in the games, I think that they're both two of my favorite plays this week. And that's more so because I don't have a lot of plays I love, but I do like both of them quite a bit.
Yeah, they're both very much on my radar and would be loves because I'm so hesitant on everybody else.
Yeah, Jennings, 25% target share since Kittle's return, 36% in the red zone. Diggs has a 26% red zone target share. They should throw a ton in this game because they can't run and because the Patriots or the Buccaneers are good against the run. It's just volume-wise, should be good. We know he has upside as well. So that to me is why. Juwan, one of my loves. Diggs up there. I had notes. I like Marv enough, but not super, super high there. 5K range at receiver, I had notes on only one player. What about you?
Who is it? Because I'm looking into somebody a little bit closer.
Darius Slayton, and I don't even love that because of the win, but 19% target share in games without neighbors with a 28% deep or 29% deep target share.
Yeah, I would like him if there wasn't win, but I'll point out there's basically been a 3-week sample with sort of the big three for the Bucs out in a row. Mike Evans barely played in week 7, but Tez Johnson's at a 19% target share.
Yeah.
32% of the downfield targets, which for me is 10 plus yards downfield. Not the biggest red zone role, which isn't it's not surprising. But part of a game that we talked about a decent amount.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that. I think I'd
Okay.
probably prefer him to Slayton because I assume that the downfield passing is going to be really difficult for if the wind is that elevated. But Slayton's also fun.
Yeah.
But I think Tez is worth shouting out. It's a
Pretty
pretty good
my
role for
third Buccaneer. So if I have enough Baker lineups, I'd have him in stacks because I would go Egbuka 1, Kate Otten 2, Tez 3, personally.
I think that's fair. So nobody else down here?
I could understand Parker Washington. Don't really want to do it, though, based on their hesitancy, based on Derek Stingley, based on overall matchup, based on quarterback play, stuff like that. So I'm not as high there, but I could see it.
Yeah.
And then, frankly, nothing else pop for me.
No Cedric Tillman coming back?
I can't tie it. Like, I can't tie a receiver to a quarterback who is as, like, I say this while using that I talked about potentially using Chimere DK last week. And I've used Alec Iomanner at times this year. Like, I know this is hypocritical, but also I just don't like Dylan Gabriel and I do like Cameron Ward. Why did I call him Cameron? Cam Ward. I know why I called him that. It's because he's Cameron Ward in the number fire database. Whenever I pull projections, I have to change it. But
yeah, like I think Tillman's fun, but the real thing is the salary is 4,000.
Yeah.
And if you just play Cedric Tillman and he gets you like 8 FanDuel points, but you're able to play like a Stafford stack, that I understand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play him at like 57, but it could be the difference of actually getting to a superstar stack. So.
I understand it. And like the receivers there are not insurmountable. Like Jerry Jeudy hasn't played great. Isaiah Bond hasn't caught a ball in like a month. And that might not be an exaggeration. So
I mean, like Tillman played a ton of like
he's a good player. I just don't like this the environment.
That I understand, but weeks 1 through 3, over 70% of the snaps in every game. You can't look at like the splits or anything, but he could get like a 18% share against the defense that just is not great, and he's a good football player. So
yeah,
he's just the only one I would shout out. I'd have to really cap my exposure to Tillman.
Yeah,
but I'm probably gonna have at least a couple.
Yeah,
just to see just what would happen.
The one downside is that he had Joe Flacco as his quarterback, and we've seen what Flacco's done, and he had 52, 22, and 26 yards.
Yeah.
That's tough. Okay, loves a receiver for me. I'm going to go Puka, Zay Flowers, Jawan Jennings, and then Stephon Diggs is a soft like. What about for you? Or soft love?
I'm probably going Puka. I keep coming back to Waddle. I don't know why. I think it's the wide receiver 1 treatment. Mm-hmm. Jennings and Diggs.
Okay.
Is probably my top 4.
I like that. All right. Let's talk about tight end. Trey McBride, $7,000. Sam Laporta, 64. Kincaid, 62. And then George Kittle, 61. Considering salary, considering the fact that we're kind of starting for value here. How are you ranking these guys?
I'm going to go Kittle. Like McBride's in a great situation, and we saw last week. I said, "Hey, man, Brock Bowers has to have like the Brock Bowers game to hurt us," and he sure did. McBride's in that stratosphere, and it could happen if he scores twice, gets 100 yards, and there's not a lot of like high upside guys elsewhere. I think Laporta's got upside. Kincaid has upside if they actually use him and let him play more than like 30% of the snaps. And Kittle has upside if they throw the ball to him. So McBride probably should be the wide receiver, he is a wide receiver. He should be the tight end 1. It's really hard to justify allocating salary there. So I'm going to go Kittle number 1 out of these 4. What about you?
Same. And I'll go Kincaid too. I like the yardage upside a lot. I like the quarterback a lot. That's enough for me. And the salary's low enough. So I'm going to Kittle 1, Kincaid 2 personally.
It's a little bit of exposure to Josh Allen if you can't play him as much as you want to. So exactly. I can see that.
Okay. Getting down here, Mark Andrews had a big game last week, but like he's running fewer routes than Isaiah Likely. There's not a lot of yardage there, so I don't feel the need to go there personally.
Same.
AJ Barner's salary is too high. Theo Johnson's salary is too high. There's a lot of wind in that game. TJ Hawkinson is not playing the Lions and is therefore not allowed to do anything. I can nitpick every tight end. I think Cole Kmet's probably going to play because he got in limited practice on Wednesday. Colson Loveland should play ahead of him now, which is good. And I think he kind of was, frankly, before Kmet got hurt. But 56 is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So no one really gets me like going until we get to Juwan Johnson, Cade Otton, Hunter Henry, and I can justify playing any of those guys.
Yeah, I know Juwan gets you going, but I think this trio's, I would rank Henry last probably. I'd probably rank them Otton, Juwan, and Henry.
Agreed.
Okay. Probably not gonna get the Fannin. He's got
apparently isn't at practice on Thursday.
Ooh.
Which is noteworthy because we were tinkering before the show started.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, I was trying to squeeze in McCaffrey and Puka, and I actually put David Njoku in that lineup as my tight end. This is very stupid, given how much I said, I can't use a Tillman at $4,000, can't tie him to Dylan Gabriel. I think David Njoku is kind of a madman at times. They were talking about the trade deadline.
I think he is mad. Yeah.
No, he said, I want to be here for life. Like, he seemed excited about Cleveland. I think he's going to sign an extension, which is insane. Like, don't do that to yourself, okay. David.
Oh, so this must be my Browns bias. The headline from ESPN is Njoku, quote, happy after not being traded.
Oh, so you thought they were like happy?
I thought it was, I just assumed Njoku not happy after not being traded.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I guess Brees is in my head.
Yeah, he seemed okay with it. So $5,000, like I'd rather use him than Tillman personally because he fills tight end. So I'm not opposed to Njoku if Fannin can't go.
Njoku's a great football player, honestly, and
he's one of those guys where you're looking like, okay, I should use this guy in DFS.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially at tight end, whenever McBride's salaried so high and nobody, like, I love Kittle, but it's not like his workload is he's probably over salaried for his workload.
Sure.
Frankly.
Sure.
So Njoku, with or without Fannin? Or
potentially. I'm not opposed to him with Fannin, but I much prefer him without.
Yeah. It's a good call.
I had notes in one other guy.
Tell me.
I'm sorry to do this, but it's Taysom Hill at $4,900. Because
I can do that.
He's probably going to be the best quarterback on the field. He had 4 rushes for 30 yards last week in a pretty negative game script. And Alvin Kamara seems a little banged up or checked out. You pick. I could see some rushing attempts for Taysom Hill. Tight end slate is not amazing. Aren't a lot of guys with like upside in this slate. You could do worse, I feel like, for 49.
You could do worse. You could probably do it better, but you could do worse.
Yeah.
Because you're not really betting against too many high-level tight ends this week to have huge games.
You're not. So my loves are going to be Kittle and Kincaid, I think. Of the lower salary guys, Cade Otton's my favorite. Unless we get no Fannin, in which case Njoku would probably be above him.
I have to say McBride's a love, even if I admit that I can't get there because his target share is phenomenal with Brissett.
It's sick. Yeah.
Especially the red zone role.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go Kittle second. And then probably Cade Otton.
Okay. I think Cade Otton's in a good spot, so I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Easy to like put him as a double stack partner with Baker too, which is very attractive. Okay, at defense, I can't get to Miami, can't get to Arizona. I'll have some Giants because of the wind. This is because like I've done studies on like what leads to like perfect lineup inclusion for defenses, and wind actually is a factor that does push them up. So I'll use some Giants. They stink. Yeah. They're really bad defense, and the Bears are a better offense than that. But like, wind is my justification.
Yeah, I could get there with the Giants, but I'm mostly checking back in at 3,500 for the Ravens.
Yeah,
because I think their defense is better, and I think JJ McCarthy could still win this game and be fun, but make some mistakes, take some sacks. So, but then we get the Panthers at 36 at home.
I think they're my default,
and I think you just kind of play them a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a big Tyler Shuck guy. They are favored. They are at home. The defense has had moments of looking really good this year. Like they shut out the Falcons at home. They've had some pretty good plays. So they're my favorite. I agree with you that the Ravens are very much in play, but I'll go Panthers above them. But if I need the extra 100, I'll go down to the Ravens without a lot of hesitation personally.
Yep.
I'll use the Bears due to wind. Same thing as the Giants. Just like there's wind. Dart is not bulletproof by any means. I think that the Bears work for sure. I think the Bucks work, frankly, because the amount of pressure they generate, but it'd be like a contrarian play. Like I think the Patriots will score points, but like May take some sacks. The Bucks generate pressure, so yeah, I don't mind the Bucks. I don't hate it.
Yeah. Can you play the Jets still?
I was going to say Jets revenge game against their own organization.
So Jets are a maybe.
Yeah.
It's a big downgrade for them on a player level basis.
Yeah, it is.
I had Detroit circled as well a little bit, but I don't know if I need to get there if we've got like 4 names already. So
Jags are being played too, but same thing with the line and the Bills. But like, I just don't know if we need to go there. So I'll probably be a 4K or lower at defense this week.
I agree.
Okay. Any final thoughts for you before we close up shop for week number 10?
Got to be clued in to the news. Yes, we're going to get like actives, inactives, but we might get some, we're going to make a change here or there with some running back workloads or what have you. So we're like, hey, Cedric Tillman's the guy or something like that. Still, you got to, take that with a grain of salt for that
Joe
offense,
Flacco gets cut by the Bengals and goes back to the Browns and becomes their starting quarterback for the Bengals bye week.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
But I think, look, we went through it. I still think that my favorite games are the same. Still feel best about that one particular game with the 49ers and Rams, but it's going to depend on value at running back and what opens up. And if it doesn't, I will flex a receiver, and I ain't going to play running backs who I don't believe in.
Yep. Be reactive to news this week because we need some value, and I will glom onto some if we get it later on. That is all that we have here for today on the Heat Check. Again, make sure to subscribe to the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. We are there Monday through Friday with covering the spread, talking some betting for both college football and the NFL. Leave us a thumbs up there, turn on notifications, and check out the FanDuel Research Podcast feed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Brandon, people have questions for you on social media. Where can they find you there?
I'm on X at Gdula13, GDULA13, and on Blue Sky at Gdula.
I'm on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes, on Threads at Jim.Sannes, and you can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you, your Week 10 NFL DFS lineups. Back again next week to break down Week 11. This has been the Heat Check, a FanDuel Research podcast.